Good evening to all. Any question, any query from our previous session? If anyone have, please raise.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Anyone have
Sir,
any question, any query? Yes,
I have a doubt in GST, sir.
please.
I've started reading the material provided by the chapter, and in that
Mhm.
it is written as for the settlement of income tax credit, sir. For any kind of,
Mhm.
whether it is IGST, CGST, or SGST or UTGST, first set off should be IGST. It is written as first set off should be IGST, sir. But
Yes.
we have learnt it like
No,
CGST.
that thing we learned. First of all, we are supposed to utilize IGST. That we learned that thing.
We've learned
Unless
it.
unless unless and until ITC of IGST are fully exhausted, we cannot go with CGST or SGST. ITC of CGST or SGST. First of all, we are supposed to settle ITC of IGST. That we done so many illustration we done. Please recheck your copy. If you copied all those version we discussed in our illustration, please go through again. Okay.
Right, sir.
Okay.
And one more small thing, sir. What is the meaning of aggregate turnover? Difference between aggregate turnover and taxable turnover, sir.
uh, for composition levy,
Yes,
the
sir.
meaning of aggregate turnover for the purpose of composition levy, uh, since it was not in your study material, I scrapped that thing. But since you asked, I am explaining the aggregate turnover for the purpose of finding out the eligibility, whether I am eligible for composition levy or not. We should consider all supply excluding all supply, that means taxable supply or exempted supply, export. However, we should not include any inward supply on which reverse charge we are supposed to pay. Number one. Number two, we should not include any interest on loan deposit, etc. We should not include GST component. And one more thing we are supposed to include, that is if a transaction is between two distinct person that located in two different state, that is known as aggregate turnover. I am again repeating, the aggregate turnover means for the purpose of identifying whether I am eligible for composition levy or not. First of all, we should consider all taxable supply excluding inward supply on which reverse charge is applicable. Number two, all exempted supply excluding interest on loan deposit, etc. Number three, export. Number four, transaction between distinct person located in two different states. But we should not include three things. We already discussed two. The third component is we should not include GST component, that is CGST, SGST, IGST. That is termed as a aggregate turnover. Clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now, today we are supposed to discuss rate of income tax. Yesterday we already discussed there are two type of regime, old regime and new tax regime. First of all, we are discussing rate of taxation on other income if I have opted old regime. That means by exercising my option given under section 115 BAC. For this purpose, for this regime, an individual is divided into three categories. For this regime, an individual is divided into three categories. Super senior citizen, and other. That right now what we are discussing, if I am under old tax regime, then what would be the rate of taxation applicable on me, we are going to discuss. Once it is done, then we will move to rate of taxation under new tax regime, or we can say default tax regime. If I am a super senior citizen, how could I find out whether I am a super senior citizen or not? The, the criteria to become a super senior citizen is if during the previous year, my age is on any day of the previous year, my age is 80 or more than 80. Plus, that means, and I am a resident in India. If these dual conditions are fulfilled, then I am considered as super senior citizen. Regarding senior citizen, during any day of the previous year, if my age is 60 or more, but less than 80. Obviously, if my age is 80, then I will be considered over here, but less than 80. And I am a resident in India. If these dual conditions are fulfilled, then I am considered as senior citizen. If I am not under these two category, then surely I am under this category. Is it clear? Again, I am repeating, for the purpose of computing my tax liability under old tax regime, an individual is divided into three categories. First, super senior citizen, then senior citizen, and residual is other. Super senior citizen, if your age during any day of the previous year is 80 or more, as well as you are a resident in India, then you will be termed as a super senior citizen. On the other hand, if your age during any day of the previous year is 60 or more, but less than 80, and you are a resident in India, then you are considered as a senior citizen. Else, you will be considered under this other category. For example, I am Amitabh Bachchan. My age is say 82 years. Where I am? Am I considered super senior citizen, or others? Under which category I will be considered? I believe everyone agree that I am under super senior citizen. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Tejaswini,
Yes.
Tejaswini, 20 years old. Under which category she will be considered? Under other category. Male, female, whatever be, if these two criteria are not fulfilled, then we all are under this other category. Bill Gates, age 73 years, under which category they will be considered?
Senior citizens.
No, other. Why not senior citizen? Be careful.
That
He
is
is
not a
satisfying
resident.
that age criteria, but he is not resident. There are 12 conditions to become a super senior citizen or senior citizen. Bill Gates, the age criteria he is satisfying, but he fails to satisfy since he is not resident in India. Hence, he is covered under other category. Clear to all? Clear
Yes, sir.
to all?
Yes, sir.
Now, the rate of taxation depends on under which category you belongs. I am removing this criteria. Now, if an SSE is a super senior citizen, then his first 5 lakh of income, which income? The income which is not subject to special rate of tax. Right now we are talking about only those income which are not subject to special rate of taxation. We yesterday we already discussed one of the example for a special rate of taxation. For example, my lottery income, that would be taxable at the rate of 30%. Whatever be I am, whether I am super senior citizen or other, lottery income would be always taxable under the at the rate of 30%. Uh, I am discussing about the other side of income, other income. That means the income on which special rate of taxation are not mentioned. In case I am a super senior citizen, first 5 lakh rupees, my first 5 lakh income are taxable at 0%. That is, I am not supposed to pay any tax on it. Next 5 lakh, I am supposed to pay 20% tax. And on balance, I am supposed to pay 30% of tax. For example, if I am a super senior citizen and my income is 7 lakh, then how should I calculate my tax liability? I will calculate first 5 lakh rupees. On first 5 lakh rupees, my tax would be calculated 0%, which comes to 0. On balance income, that is 2 lakh. On this, my balance income, on this balance income, I'm liable to pay 20%. So 20% of 2 lakh become 40,000. Is it clear? Is it clear? On the other hand, if my income, I am a super senior citizen, my income is 17 lakh. In that situation, how could I calculate my tax liability? First 5 lakh rupees nil, that means zero. Next 5 lakh, it would be 20%, that means 1 lakh, and balance on 7 lakh at the rate of 30%. That means 2 lakh 10,000. If there is some mistake in calculation, that is not my fault, that is your fault. Okay, my maths is very strong. You can understand that one. Altogether, that super senior citizen who is earning 17 lakh as an income, which is not a special rate of tax, which is on which special rate of taxation is not applicable, the amount of tax is rupees 3 lakh 10,000. Done? Clear? Any question till now? I hope it
No,
is
sir.
clear to you.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Aarti, now in case if I am senior citizen, that means category number 2. In that case, what would be the rate of taxation? Now we are supposed to understand that one. In this case, first rupees 3 lakh, it would be nil. Next 2 lakh, it would be 5%. Next 5 lakh, it would be 20%. And on balance, it would be 30%. Don't you think the rate after 5 lakh are the same? The rate on income after 5 lakh are the same. These last two categories are same. The only difference is that in case of super senior citizen, entire first rupees 5 lakh are taxable at 0%. In case of senior citizen, it is divided into two parts. First 3 lakh, we can say it is 0%, and next 2 lakh, it would be 5%. Is it clear? Sir, it would be 3,50,000. 3. My mistake. It is 3 lakh. I was correct. My memory became little bit corrupt. Is it clear? In case if I am under the third category, then my first 2,50,000, it would be 0. Next 2,50,000, it would be 5%. Next 5 lakh, it would be 20%. And on balance, it would be 30%. Clear? Please copy this chart. If you do not have this type of chart in your study material, please copy it. Am I not audible?
Audible, sir.
Okay. Some message are there, sir. Voice nahi aa raha hai. Okay. Uh, is it done? Now, could you help me in calculating my tax liability? If my income is 12 lakh and my age is only 32 years, then what would be my tax liability? My income is 12 lakh and my age is 32 years. What would be my tax liability? Please calculate. 12 lakh, 32 years. Please calculate my tax liability. Anyone? Tejaswini, what would be my amount of tax?
Is it 1,72,500, sir?
Okay, let me check. In this case, in which category I belongs? Can I say I am super senior citizen or senior citizen? No, since my age is only 32 years, so I am here. First 2,50,000, it would be nil. On first 2,50,000, it would be nil. Next 2,50,000, it is 5%, that is 12,500. Next 1 lakh, next 5 lakh, it would be 1 lakh, and remaining 2 lakh, it would be 30%. That comes to 60,000. Altogether, my tax liability would be 172,500. Done? Clear? Shall I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Now we done this one. We calculated our tax liability. Now our government is saying that is providing some relief to the people who are not earning more than 5 lakh. If my earning is not more than 5, one more point. Suppose I am super senior citizen. Till which range of income my tax liability would be nil? Can I say in case I am a super senior citizen, until my income exceed 5 lakh, my tax liability is zero? Yes or no? In case I am a senior citizen, unless and until my income exceeds 3 lakh, my tax liability would be zero. In this case, unless and until my income exceeds 2,50,000, my tax liability would be zero. Yes or no? Agree or disagree?
Yes, sir.
The income up to which the tax liability is calculated at 0%, that figure is known as basic exemption limit. These are known as basic exemption limit. Basic exemption limit. Done. Now, I earned income more than my basic exemption limit. I am liable to pay tax on it. But however, government is giving some rebate to me. If I am a resident individual, and my total income does not exceed 5 lakh, in that situation, I am eligible for rebate under section 87A. What is the quantum of rebate? The amount of the rebate would be 100% of my tax liability, or rupees 12,500, whichever is lower. For example, if I am under other category, my income is rupees 4,50,000 and I am a resident person. How could I calculate my tax liability? First 2,50,000, my tax would be zero. Next 2 lakh, it would be at the rate of 5%, so it would be 10,000. Total tax liability would be 10,000. Now think about rebate under section 87A. Rebate under section 87A. The rebate under section 87A is available if I am a resident and my total income does not exceed 5 lakh. My total income does not exceed 5 lakh. Can I say I am satisfying both of these conditions? Yes or no? Can I say I am satisfying both of these conditions? The answer is yes. I am a resident as well as my total income does not exceed 5 lakh because my income is only 4,50,000. So I am eligible for rebate under section 87A. How to quantify rebate under section 87A? The amount of tax, that is 10,000 or rupees 12,500, whichever is lower. Which one is lower? I believe 10,000 is lower. So entire tax is available as rebate under section 87A. My tax became zero, laddu. Done? Done?
Yes, sir.
If I am a senior citizen, and my income is 4,50,000, please calculate my rebate under section 87A. if I'm a senior citizen and my income is 4,50,000, calculate my rebate under section 87A. Senior citizen, income 4,50,000. In that case, first 3 lakh would be taxable at 0%. Next, 1,50,000 would be chargeable at the rate of 5%. 5% of 1,50,000, I believe 7,500. Again, check whether he is eligible for rebate or not. Yes, sir, he is eligible for rebate under section 87A because he is a resident person and his income does not exceed, his total income does not exceed 5 lakh. Hence, he is rebate eligible for rebate. The quantum of rebate would be tax amount or 12,500, whichever is lower. That means 7,500 is available as rebate. Hence, his tax liability became 0. Done? Here. Now calculate your tax liability if your income is 5,10,000 and you are under other category. Please calculate. Age 43 years. Please calculate your tax liability.
Is it
Tejaswini,
14,500, sir?
rebate.
No. Tax liability.
What about rebate?
Rebate will be 12,500, sir.
Okay. Again, we are checking, we are computing. My income is 5,10,000. Hence, on first 2,50,000, it would be 0. Next 2,50,000, it would be 5%, which comes to 12,500. Balance 10,000 at the rate of 20%, which comes to 2,000. So my tax liability became 14,500. Now think about rebate under section 87A. What are the conditions for calculating rebate under section 87A? Number one, I am resident, and number two, my total income should not exceed 5 lakh. My income exceed 5 lakh. Since here my income exceed 5 lakh, I'm not eligible for any rebate. Hence, my tax become 14,500. Done? Done?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, last illustration in this contest. I am a non-resident. Age about 43. My income is 4,75,000. Calculate my tax liability after rebate. Calculate my tax liability after rebate. Anyone? Kavita?
Non-residents do not get any rebate, no, sir.
Yes, ma'am. In this case, my tax liability, first 2,50,000, it would be 0. First 2,50,000, it would be 0. Balance 250, 475 minus 250. It is 2,25,000 at the rate of 5%. Can I say it would be 11,250?
Yes, sir.
11,250, and there is no rebate. No rebate under section 87A. Why? Because he is a non-resident. Done. Now we today we learn the new word called rebate. Yesterday we discussed about deduction. So what is the difference between these two words? Deduction reduce income. Deduction under chapter 6A. Yesterday we discussed the relationship of GTI minus deduction equal to total income. Yesterday we learned about this one. The deduction, the whenever we say that I'm eligible for certain deduction, that means my income would be reduced. On the other hand, if I'm using the word rebate, that means directly my tax liability would be reduced. Done. Whatever be the amount of rebate is available, the amount of tax would be reduced. In case if I'm eligible for deduction, that means my income will be reduced, and obviously indirectly my tax liability would be reduced. But deduction, direct link with your reduction in income, and rebate on the other hand linked with reduction in your tax liability. Clear? Shall I remove it? Now we got tax as reduced by rebate under section 87A. That is my tax liability. Now comes to surcharge. Surcharge, that means we already discussed there are three layers of taxation: tax, surcharge, and cess. Now we are discussing about surcharge. What do you mean by what would be the quantum of surcharge and when it is applicable? If my total income does not exceed 50 lakh. If my total income does not exceed 50 lakh, I'm not liable for any surcharge. If my total income exceed 50 lakh but does not exceed 1 crore, then I am supposed to pay 10% of my tax as surcharge. If my income exceed 1 crore but does not exceed 2 crore, I am liable to pay 15% of my tax as surcharge. In next level, 2 crore to 5 crore, 25% of tax as surcharge, and remaining, if my income exceed 5 crore, then it is 37% of tax as surcharge. Be careful. Tax we are supposed to calculate in the percentage of income. On the other hand, surcharge we are calculating as the percentage of tax. Whatever we calculated this one. Be careful. General or common mistake is that if my income is 55 lakh, students are calculating tax considering income 55 lakh, and then again they are adding 10% of 55 lakh. That is wrong. Surcharge is not 10% of income. Surcharge is 10% of tax. Be careful about that one. However, in some type of nature, some nature of in some income, the rate of surcharge does not exceed 15%. This type of income we will discuss after couple of classes. After couple of sessions, we will go through this 111A, 112, 112A. We will discuss afterward. In general, the rate of surcharge is like this. If my total income does not exceed 50 lakh, then my rate of surcharge is nil. If my income exceed 50 lakh but does not exceed 1 crore, then it is 10% of what? 10% of tax liability. It is not 10% of income. It is 10% of your tax, whatever we computed right now. If my income exceed 1 crore but does not exceed 2 crore, then 15% of tax and so on up to 37% of tax is available, is liable to pay as surcharge. Done? Clear? Is it clear to all? Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, one that is not in your study material, but it is relevant to discuss here. Suppose Suppose my income is 50 lakh 10,000. It may happen. It is possible or not. My income is 50 lakh 10,000. And someone told me to calculate my tax liability. I'm calculating my tax liability. First 2 lakh 50,000. I believe it would be zero. Agree or disagree? Next 2 lakh 50,000. It would be 12,500. Next 5 lakh. It would be 1 lakh. And balance 40 lakh 10,000. Yes or no? It would be at the rate of 30%. 40 lakh 10,000 at the rate of 30% comes to 12 lakh 3,000. Altogether, my tax liability would be 13 lakh 15,500. Am I eligible for rebate under section 87A? Yes or no? Am I eligible for rebate under section 87A? Tejaswini?
No, sir.
No, no rebate because my total income exceed 5 lakh. Hence, I am not eligible for any rebate under section 87A. However, I am supposed to pay surcharge. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Surcharge is applicable or yes? No.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Why?
Applicable.
Why it is applicable?
Exceeding 50 lakhs, sir.
My total income exceeds 50 lakh. Hence, I am liable to pay surcharge at the rate of 10% of my tax liability. So I am calculating my surcharge 10% of my tax. That means 10% of 131,550. That means my surcharge would be 131,550. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct or wrong?
Correct, sir.
Correct. Licton, am I correct? Are you happy with this
Yes, sir.
131,550 as a surcharge? Should I become happy for paying surcharge of 131,550? I'm very sad.
No, sir.
Ask me why you are so sad. This is the rule, you are supposed to pay it. I am sad. The logic, think about the logic. Why surcharge is applicable on me? Why surcharge is applicable on me?
Because income
Anyone?
is
So it is
because
6 lakh to 9 lakh between.
No. My income exceed 50 lakh. Agree or disagree?
yes, sir.
Hmm.
By
But
how
only
much
by
amount it exceed? By how much amount
10,000.
it exceed?
10,000, sir.
Only due to 10,000, since it exceed by 10,000 only, I am supposed to pay 131,550 and plus 3,000. On this 10,000, at the rate of 30%, I am paying tax over here. And again, I am paying surcharge of 131,550. So that, can I say that for earning this extra 10,000, I am supposed to pay tax of 134,550. Do you think it is logical? Do you think it is fair with me?
No, sir.
Not fair.
For earning extra 10,000, I am supposed to pay tax of rupees 134,550. This is really very hurting for me. Agree or disagree? I requested government. It is very harsh on me. Don't you think it is very harsh on me? Government say, okay, I got your point. I got your point. They are saying that we will provide some marginal relief. How could I calculate marginal relief? They are saying how much extra you are earning. That means 10,000 I earned extra. How much I earned extra? I earned 10,000 extra. Agree or disagree? Out
Yes,
of
sir.
this, I already paid 3,000 as a tax, considering 30% rate of tax. So remaining amount is 7,000. how much income I retain with myself if surcharge is not there. So I can retain 7,000 with me. Agree or disagree? If my excess income as reduced by 30% of it is less than surcharge, then my effective surcharge instead of 131,550 would become 7,000, and I will get an extra discount called marginal relief. I will get one marginal relief, extra discount from surcharge, so that my amount of surcharge would not exceed this 7,000. So my marginal relief would be 131,550 minus 7,000. 124,550. I will get a discount from my tax liability amounting to rupees 124,550, which is termed as marginal relief. How much now? Effectively, I am supposed to pay surcharge of rupees 7,000 only. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please copy it. Please copy it. याद नहीं रहेगा. Now my tax liability would be like this. Tax amount 1315500 plus surcharge after considering marginal relief. Now my surcharge is reduced to 7,000. So now it becomes 138,5500. But government is saying ye dil mange more. Modi ji is asking for more. So they are charging extra 4% as health and education cess. 4% of your tax plus surcharge. That means 4% of 138,5500 into 4%, 55,420. And this one I'm required to pay plus 138,5500. That is 138,5500 plus 55,420. That is 14,40,920 I'm required to pay as tax. Done? Clear? Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Shall I remove? So we know that what is the rate of tax in case of an individual? It depends on the status of the individual. If he is a senior citizen or super senior citizen or under other category, and then we are supposed to add, consider if any rebate under Section 87 is available or not. Then we will go with surcharge. Then we will check whether I am eligible for any marginal relief or not. Then whatever be the amount of tax plus surcharge, effective surcharge we got, on that figure we are required to pay 4% as an education cess. Done? Clear? And that's considered as our tax liability. Here one more thing you are supposed to do, rounding off. If my tax liability after considering all these things are like this, say 1,21,536, in that case we are supposed to round off it. How to round off? Again, check this unit place. If it is 5 or more than 5, we will consider 121,540. If it is 121,534, check unit place. It is not more than 5, it is not 5 or more than 5, then we will reduce it to lower level of multiple of 10, that is 30. Done? That is that much of money I am required to pay to the government of India for my earning. Clear? And this tax rate is for old tax regime. That means I have opted for old tax regime. Now we are coming to default tax regime. What is the rate of taxation under default tax regime? Clear? Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Licton? Kavita? Okay. Anyway, now comes to tax rate under default tax regime.
Yes, sir.
Rate of tax for individual covered under default tax regime, or we can say regime under section 115 BAC 1A, or we can say new tax regime. All of them are same. In this case, we are not supposed to divide an individual into three categories. We are not supposed to categorize super senior citizen, senior citizen. We are not supposed to do all these things. Simple rate of taxation are given. Under this regime, the rate of taxation for all category of individual, whether he is a senior citizen or super senior citizen, or under other category, the rate of taxation are same. In this case, for first rupees 3 lakh, it is nil. For first 3 lakh, it is nil. From 3 lakh to 6 lakh, it is 5%. From 6 lakh to 9 lakh, it is 10%. From 9 lakh to 12 lakh, it is 15%. Then 12 lakh to 15 lakh, it is 20%. And over and above 15 lakh, it would be 30%. It would be 30%. How to remember this one? Look here at income side, it is a slab of 3 lakh. 3 lakh, 6 lakh, 9 lakh, 12 lakh, 15 lakh and above. The rate of taxation nil, 5, 10. Increment is of 5%. 5, 10, 15, 20, and last one is jump from 20 to 30. Done. In this situation, basic exemption limit for individual is rupees 3 lakh. Irrespective of the fact whether you are a senior citizen or super senior citizen or under other category, in this case, we are not supposed to segregate individual into these three different category. The the single rate is there, the single slab rate is there, and basic exemption limit across the board is rupees 3 lakh. Done? Clear? Rebate under section 87A. After calculating this, I am eligible for rebate under section 87A. Dear student, please check the amount of rebate, the criteria of the rebate. And if I am under old tax regime, rebate under section 87 is available to me if I am a resident individual and my total income does not exceed 5 lakh. However, if I am under new tax regime or default tax regime, then the criteria is that I am a resident individual and my total income does not exceed rupees 7 lakh. That means the condition is totally different. In that case, that means for claiming rebate under section 87A, if I am under new tax regime, then I am a resident individual and my total income should not exceed rupees 7 lakh. Be careful, it is 7 lakh. It is not mistake. It is 7 lakh. Under old tax regime, it is 5 lakh. Under new tax regime, it is 7 lakh. Now come to quantum of rebate. If I am under new tax regime, the quantum of rebate under section 87A is 100% of my tax liability or rupees 25,000, whichever is lower. On the other hand, if I am under old tax regime, the amount of rebate is 100% of my tax liability or rupees 12,500, which or is lower. Here it is just double. Don't you think so? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Try to remember these differences. Again, one more differences is there. The difference is that under old tax regime, if my income exceed 10 rupees, then from 5 lakh rupees, I am not eligible for any rebate under section 87A. If my income, if I am under old tax regime and my income is 5 lakh 10, then I am not eligible for any rebate under section 87A. However, if I am under new tax regime and my income is marginally exceed 7 lakh rupees, still I am eligible for claim for I am eligible for rebate under section 87A. That means maximum they will charge me the amount which by which my income exceeds 7 lakh, and then balance amount is available as rebate under section 87A to me, just like marginal relief we discussed in case of surcharge. Now, if I am under new tax regime, then my rate of surcharge is again different. My income does not exceed 50 lakh, then nil. If my income exceed 50 lakh but does not exceed 1 crore, then 10%. Exceed 1 crore but does not exceed 2 crore, then 15%. And if total income exceed 2 crore, it is limited to 25%. However, in certain income, it is restricted to 15%. Under old tax regime, the range of surcharge is up to 37% of tax. Under new tax regime, under default tax regime, the maximum surcharge is 25% of your tax liability. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Then after calculating tax less rebate under section 87A plus surcharge, on that portion we are liable to pay health and education cess, that is at the rate of 4% of your tax plus surcharge. That, and again that rounding of concept would be applicable. This is the mechanism for calculating tax on your income. Anyone have any doubt, any question till now?
No, sir.
Clear? Are you able to calculate your tax liability? If you are under new tax regime, age 63 and your income is 6,80,000, please calculate your tax liability. New tax regime, age 63, income 6,80,000. Then what would be your tax liability? Anyone?
Tax liability is 0, sir.
My tax liability would be 0. How could it be 0? On
Because
first
we
rupees,
get.
on first 3 lakh, it would be 0. Next 3 lakh, it would be 5%, which is 15,000. Balance 80,000. It would be 8,000. I hope so. Now it is 23,000 less rebate under section 87A. Since my income does not exceed 7 lakh, I am eligible for rebate under section 87A, which is 23,000, that is my tax liability, or rupees 25,000, whichever is lower. That means 23,000 is available as rebate. Now my tax is nil. Even after including cess, it would be nil. What would be my tax liability with this same range of income if I am under old tax regime? Then if I am under old tax regime, then what would be my tax liability? Anyone?
Is it 46,000, sir?
If I am under old regime, then my tax liability would be, since I am age 63, first considering senior citizen, first 3 lakh, it would be nil. Next 2 lakh, it would be 10,000. It would be 10,000. And balance 1,80,000. It would be at the rate of 20%. It would be 36,000. Comes to 46,000. Am I eligible for any rebate under Section 87A? No, my income exceeds 5 lakh, hence I am not eligible for rebate under Section 87A. Add health and education cess at the rate of 4%. 46,000 into 4%, 1840. So my tax liability is 47,840. Now think. You are supposed to opt your option wisely. If you opted for new regime on the income of 6,80,000, your tax liability is only zero. On the other hand, if you go with old regime, your tax liability is equivalent to more or less your 1 month salary. Don't you think so? Don't you think so?
Yes,
Choose
sir.
the option, choose the option carefully. Done. However, everything's come with some rider. There are some rider too. We will discuss those rider afterward. Clear? Now comes to residential status. What do you mean by residential status? Any idea? Any suggestion? What is the meaning of residential status? And what you thought about residential? What it should be? Suppose I am Bill Gates. Do you think I am liable to pay tax on my income in India? Do you think so? Am I liable to pay tax on my global income in India? Do you think so? Do you think Amitabh Bachchan is supposed to pay tax on his global income in India? How could we determine whether on which type of income we are supposed to pay tax in India or I'm not supposed to pay tax in India? It depends on your residential status. In short, if you are Indian resident, then your liability towards your country is much more higher in comparison to a person who is a person of other country and mere earning some income from India. Do you think Bill Gates have equivalent responsibility to pay tax in India in comparison with Amitabh Bachchan? Do you think so? The answer is no. It depends on residential status. How we calculate residential status, we will going to discuss that one. Residential status of an individual may be termed as a resident or it may be termed as a non-resident. It may be termed as a resident or it may be termed as a non-resident. What do you mean? Further, a resident individual again subdivided into two categories: ordinary resident and not ordinary resident. That means an individual may be a resident or non-resident, and again a resident individual is again subdivided into two categories called ordinary resident or not ordinary resident. Is it clear? Now, which person, which individual is considered as a resident and which person, which individual is considered as a non-resident? The rule is that there is section called section 6(1), that is to become resident in India, and an individual is supposed to fulfill any of the two conditions mentioned under section 6(1). Any of the one condition mentioned under section 6 subsection 1. The section 6(1) provide two criteria. Any of them, if you fulfill, then you will be considered as a resident. What is the first criteria? You are in India if that individual is in India in the previous year for a period of 182 days or more. That means out of 365 or 360 days of the previous year, if you are in India, if you are in India, then for 182 days, you shall be considered as a resident in India for that particular previous year. Is it clear? Another criteria is that during the previous year, during the relevant previous year, you are in India for 60 days or more, but does not exceed 182 days or more. And during last 4 year, immediately preceding previous year, you are in India for 365 days. Then again, you are termed as a resident in India. For example, Vikas Mundra stay in India throughout the year. What would be my residential status? During the entire previous year, 23-24, I was in India. So what would be my residential status? Anyone? Whether I am considered as a resident or a non-resident?
Resident, sir.
Resident. If Tejaswini during the previous year 2023-24, she was in India for say 147 days. What is her residential status? What is her residential status? Sir, on the basis of this information, we cannot calculate the residential status of Tejaswini. We need some more information. Since she reside in India during the previous year, more than 60 or more days, the answer is yes. Now we need how many days she was in India in immediately preceding 4 previous year. That means previous year 22-23, previous year 2021-22, previous year 2020-21, previous year 2019-20. 4 year done. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many days, how many number of days she was in India during this 4 preceding previous year? If the aggregate total of this stay is 365 or more, and during the previous year it is 60 or more, then we will term Tejaswini as resident in India. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Done. Copy it. Copy it. Done. Now, again, one more example. If Kavita stay in India during the previous year, 2023-24, she was in India for 47 days. And for last 4 previous year, she was in India for 700 days. For what would be the presidential status for Kavita this for previous year 23-24? Anyone? Anyone?
Non-resident, sir.
नॉन रेसिडेंट कविता जी, आप अपना तो रेसिडेंशियल स्टेटस बताइए. Otherwise, Tejaswini will charge some consultancy fees from you. She is surely a non-resident. Why? Even though she was in India for 700 days in the preceding 4 previous year, but she was in India only for 47 days. Since it is not exceeding 60 days, hence she will be termed as a non-resident. Clear? Done? Now, one question in my mind, how to calculate this number of days she stay in India? How to calculate? Whether continuous stay is required? The answer is no. State same place in India is required? The answer is no. It may happen. It may happen that Kavita ji stay in India for say 65 days. Out of these 10 days she stay in Mumbai. I'm making it 265. 100 days she stay in Tamil Nadu. 100 days in Karnataka, and so on. Still, during the previous year, if she was in India for 182 days or more, or 60 days during the year, 60 or more, and more than 365 or more in immediately for preceding year, then she will be considered as a resident. Irrespective of the fact she was not continuously residing in India, it is irrelevant. She is not continuously staying in the same place, it is irrelevant. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now think about situation. I hope everyone knows this map. Here it is Puri. Today cyclone was there. Here it is Puri. Suppose Kavita stay here for 190 days. Whether she will be considered as she residing in India or not. Be careful. Whenever we talk about India, India includes territorial water of India. What do you mean by territorial water of India? Territorial water of India means from this baseline, up to 12 nautical miles inside sea is considered as territorial water of India. And if you are in the territorial water of India, still we will count at as you stayed in India. Is it clear? Done. Now few exception. Deemed resident. What do you mean by deemed? That means even though you are not in India for 182 days or not more, you are not in India for you are not satisfying criteria that is 60 plus 365 days. Still, we would consider yourself as a resident if you satisfied these 4 conditions. Number one, if you are a citizen of India, if you are a citizen of India and your total income other than income from foreign sources exceeds rupees 15 lakh during the previous year, and you are not satisfying any of the condition mentioned under section 6.1, that is you are not stay in India 182 days or more, or you are not satisfying the criteria that is 60 days plus 365 days, and you are not liable to pay tax in any other country, then we will consider yourself as a resident, deemed a resident in India. Think about why this provision has been made. Think about few rich people. They are citizen of India. they are citizen of India, and they have, say, one flat in Mumbai, one house in Dubai, one house in Singapore, one house in London, one house in Paris. It may happen. He is Pasawala. He may have this type of liberty. Yes or no? One at New York. In London house, he stayed 50 days. In Mumbai house, he stayed 50 days. In Dubai, he stayed 50 days. In Singapore, he 50 days, 50 days, 50 days, 365 ho gaya, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or okay, you have a few more houses and you did not reside more than 50 days or 60 days in any of the country. Now, more or less, the residential status are same for each and every under the income tax law of each and every countries. So, considering this fact, you are neither a resident of London, nor resident of India, nor of Dubai, nor of Singapore, nor of Paris, and nor of New York. Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree?
Yes, sir.
You are not satisfying residential status, the conditions which are supposed to be satisfied to become a resident in a particular country. You are not satisfying that criteria for each and every country in which you reside during the previous year. Since you are a non-resident for all of the country, but you are earning and you are not paying tax in any country. Since you are not a resident of any country, hence you are not paying tax in any country. If this is the situation and you are an Indian citizen, your total income other than income from foreign sources exceed rupees 15 lakh, and you are not satisfying any of the criteria mentioned under section 6.1, and you are not paying tax in any other country, we will consider our citizen as our resident and you are liable to pay tax in India, even though you are not satisfying any of the condition mentioned under section 6.1, even though your stay during the previous year in India is zero, still we will consider you as a resident in India, you as a deemed resident in India, and you are liable to pay tax on those part of income which are not considered as income from foreign sources. Done? Done? Super rich people can enjoy this type of liberty. So to trap all this type of people, this type of provision become part of the statute. Done? Shall I move ahead? Anyone want to say anything? And then resident and ordinary resident. Resident and ordinary resident. If you are a resident person, you are supposed to classify yourself whether you are an ordinary resident or you are a not ordinary resident. To become an ordinary resident, you are supposed to satisfy two conditions mentioned under section 6.6. You are supposed to satisfy both of the conditions mentioned under section 6.6. Be careful. For basic condition, we discuss either of the condition mentioned under section 6.1. That one, you are in India for 182 days or more, or you are in India for 60 days and 365 days. That means 182 days or 60 plus 365 days. You are supposed to satisfy any of these conditions to become a resident. However, once you considered as a resident, then to become an ordinary resident, you are supposed to satisfy both of the conditions mentioned under section 6.6. What are two conditions? Out of last 10 previous year, you are resident in India for at least 2 years, then we should consider first condition has been satisfied. That means we, in short, we term this condition as a 2 by 10. 2 by 10 condition. If you satisfied, that means out of the last 10 previous year, If you are resident for at least 2 times, then we will consider this condition has been satisfied. You may be resident because of 182 days criteria, or you may be resident due to 60 plus 365 criteria. And number two criteria is that during the last 7 years, immediately preceding previous year, you are in India for in aggregate 730 days or more. Then we will presume you are you satisfied these two conditions. Hence, you will be termed as a resident and ordinary resident. Is it clear? One example. Suppose suppose Suresh during the previous year 2023-24 he was in India for 174 days. Okay. And in during the 2022-23, 2021-22, 2020-21, 2019, 18, 17, 16, 15, and so on. Number of days Mr. Suresh was in India in this years are as under. This is our relevant previous year. In this year, he was in India for 174 days. Here, he was in India for 100 days. Here, he was in India for 200 days. Here, he was in India for 35 days. Here, he was in India for 100 days. Here, he was in India for 300 days. Here, he was in India for 15 days. Here, he was in India for 75 days. Here, he was not in India. Here, he was not in India. Could you tell me, calculate, determine his residential status for the previous year 23-24? Anyone? Anyone? Tejaswini, Suresh, please solve. Please determine your residential status.
Resident, sir.
He is resident. How?
Total number of days is more than 730 days, sir.
First of all, we are supposed to calculate whether he is a resident or non-resident during the previous year. How could I determine that one? To become a resident in India, he should be in India for 182 days or 60 days during the previous year, 60 or more, or 365 or more during the last for previous year. In this year, he was in India only for 174 days. Can I say he is not satisfied this criteria? This condition is not fulfilled. Now check 60 days, 60 days. Yes, he satisfied this criteria. In last 4 years, can I say that his stay in last 4 preceding previous year is 365 or more? The answer is yes. Hence, he is, since both he is satisfying this criteria, he is a resident. Once we can say that he is a resident, we are supposed to examine two more conditions, 2 by 10 and 730 days. Now check 2 by 10 criteria. Ignore this first year. Now come from this year, we are supposed to check. Here again, he did not satisfy 182 days criteria. Whether he was in India for 365 days or more, the answer is yes. Here it is 60 days. plus in last 4 years, whether he is in India for 365 days or not? The answer is yes. Here it is for this purpose. We will count this 4 year. In this 4 year, he was in India for 365 days or more. The answer is yes. Here, obviously, 182 days is already passed. Hence, answer is yes. 2 by 10 is fulfilled. Yes or no? We are not supposed to examine more. If it is not here, then we are supposed to go ahead up to 10 last 10 years. Now, since this criteria is done, now we will go with check 730 days criteria. For this one, we are supposed to consider 7 preceding year. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many days he was in India for during this 7 preceding previous year? Can I say the total is more than 730 or more? The answer is yes. Since this is also yes, we can term Mr. Suresh as a resident and ordinary resident. Clear? Done? It is done. Please copy it.
కారణం జంతుతో బయటికి వెళ్ళి
Done. Few exception. If you are considered as a deemed resident by virtue of this section, that is this one. If you are considered as a deemed resident due to this London, Mumbai, Dubai, etc., this criteria, then you are always treated as not ordinary resident. Then you would be treated as not ordinary resident. In even though you satisfied the criteria given under section 6.6, still if you are a deemed resident, then you will always be treated as, then he will uh, always be treated as not ordinary resident. Done? Clear? Shall I move ahead? Few more exception. How to determine residential status of an HUF? To determine residential status of an HUF, we can say residential status of an HUF is termed as a resident if the control and management of its affair during the year is located in India, then we will term that HUF as a ordinary that HUF as a resident in India. Otherwise, that would be considered as a non-resident. A resident HUF is always further classified as whether he is an ordinary resident or not ordinary resident. To become a resident HUF, ordinary resident, we should find out whether the Karta or manager of that HUF satisfied the condition mentioned under section 6.6, that is dual condition mentioned under section 6 of section 6, that is 2 by 10 criteria or 730 days criteria. If these are the satisfied by the Karta, then that resident HUF would be treated as a ordinary resident, else that would be considered as a not ordinary resident. Regarding partnership firm, etc., in case of partnership firm or other association of person, they would be considered as resident if the control and management of their wholly is located outside India, then they will be considered as a non-resident, and otherwise they will be treated as a resident in India. In case of residential status of a company, an Indian company would always be considered as a resident in India. And for other company, they would be considered as resident in India only if their place of effective management is located in India. In short, the summary of chapter residential status would be like this. Individual resident. Who will be termed as resident? 182 days or 60 days plus 365 days. A resident may be termed as ordinary or not ordinary. To become ordinary, 2 by 10 criteria and 730 days criteria. They are supposed to fulfill. Done. For HUF, I'm removing that one again. HUF, it may be resident or it may be non-resident. If control and management is wholly, control and management is located in India, then it would be considered as resident, else it would be considered as wholly located outside India. Wholly outside India, then these people are considered as non-resident. Again, a resident and resident HUF may be further classified as ordinary or not ordinary. To become ordinary, Karta is satisfying, Karta or manager of that HUF is satisfying both the condition given under section 6.6. Is it clear? Is it clear? In case of company, partnership firm, etc., a resident company or resident partnership firm are not supposed to further classified as a ordinary resident, not ordinary resident. The concept of ordinary or ordinary resident is applicable only in case of individual or HUF. A company, in case of a company is considered, a company may be an Indian company or other. Indian company means the company which is incorporated as per company law of India, or some few company which are prescribed by the board as a company. Indian company is always, without any criteria, they will be considered as always resident in India. In case of other, if place of effective management is in India, then surely they will be treated as resident, else non-resident. Done. Further, a company or partnership firm, a resident company or a resident partnership firm are not further classified as ordinary resident or not ordinary resident. Done? Clear? Any question till now? Now, one question from my side. Suppose Mr. X came to India first time, he is aged about 32 years, came to India first time on 2nd January 2024. Mr. X, a foreign national, 32 years, came to India first time on 2nd January 2024 for 200 days. What would be his residential status during the previous year, 23-24? Please guide me. Please guide me.
Resident of India, sir.
Sorry?
It's the resident of
He is
India.
resident? Okay,
Of
one
India.
answer I got. Resident. Now, the poll
Non-resident.
is going on. How many are with Suresh? As per Suresh, he is a resident. How many are with Suresh? Poll is
Non-resident.
going on. How many are with Suresh?
Non-resident, sir.
Tejaswani is against Suresh. Tejaswani is against Suresh. What about Kavita? What about Kavita? Aratna, Licton, Siddharth?
Resident, sir.
As per, okay, Aratna is with Suresh. Licton? Okay, Licton is not replying. Kavita? Here, student. Sureshji, why you told he is resident? Aratna, why you are with Suresh? Any answer, any theory, any logic? Please explain why he will be termed as a resident.
Because 180 days condition is fulfilled.
182 days condition is fulfilled. Okay. How he is satisfied 182 days? First time during the previous year, first time in his life, he came in India in January 24. And then he continuously in India for 200 days. Agree or disagree? In
Agree, sir.
January, he was in India for 30 days. In Feb 24, he was in India for 29 days. In March, he was surely in India for 31 days. And in April, he was in India for 30 days. But here, that is the cut. During the previous year, do you think he was in India for 182 days? There is a cut of the
No, sir.
previous year. March is March is there. From April onwards, another previous year has started. Agree or disagree?
Yes, sir. Agreed.
So during the previous year, 23-24, he stayed in India. He was in India only for 90 days. Yes or no? Hence,
Yes, sir.
he is not satisfying the criteria of 182 days. Aratna ji, are you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Furthermore, the criteria of 60 plus 365 is not fulfilled. Why not? Because this is his first time. First time he came to India. So in last 4 preceding year, his stay in India is 0. So he is not satisfying any of the criteria given under section 6.1. Hence, he should be considered as a non-resident in India. Clear? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Done? So what you learned in this question, from this question, never jump into conclusion so quickly. Agree or disagree?
Yes, sir.
Never jump in taxation matter. Never jump into the conclusion very quickly. You see the number 200 days. You just answered he is a resident in India. Be careful. This type of MCQ questions may be asked. Okay. Now next, few exempted income. Few income on which tax are not supposed to be paid. Exempted means that means you are not supposed to pay any tax on it. That income is exempted. That means that income should not form part of your total income. You are not supposed to pay any tax on it. Few of them are house rent. If you are a salaried person and you are under old tax regime, then you are eligible for house rent allowances. What do you mean by allowances? Anyone? All of you are working or all of you are student?
Not working, sir.
Not working. Sometime, suppose I am a salaried person. I am a salaried person. My boss is paying me rupees 8 lakh per annum as salary. Okay. And one of my friend is Suresh in another organization. He is also getting in hand rupees 8 lakh. One fine day, he meet me in a movie hall. He is enjoying popcorn. He is also eating ice cream, etc. I, due to jealousy, I asked, "Oh, wow, your salary is really very good. How could you afford this popcorn in this? I believe in INOX, etc. Popcorn is very costly, right? Don't you think so?" So, so he told me my boss is giving me entertainment allowance. entertainment allowance. For entertaining me, my boss is paying monthly 2000 rupees to me. I did not believe that. How could a boss, how could an employer is paying and paying for watching movie? I became I impressed with his boss. Next day, I resigned from my job. I resigned from my job and visited to his office. And since there was some vacancy, now I'm getting what his boss is saying. Now my salary structure, per month salary structure, here it is 8 lakh per annum. That means monthly is, I'm making it, that means monthly is 66,667. My monthly salary with my existing employer was 66,667. 8 lakh divided by 12. Now, what his employer is saying, look, Mr. Munra, your basic salary would be 20,000. I'm paying for your house rent. That means you are supposed to pay, you are supposed to meet rental expenditure of your house. Hence, I'm paying for your house rent amounting to rupees 20,000 again. For your entertainment, I'm paying you 5,000 rupees per month. For your children educations, I am paying 5,000. For your medical treatment, I am if you or you, any of your family member became sick, for that thing, I am paying you medical allowances of rupees 5,000. I'm also paying you for professional development. You need to learn new. You want to update yourself, so that you need certain subscription or new books or periodical you require to subscribe. For that thing, I'm paying you rupees 1,000 per month. How much he is paying me? 20 plus 20, 40, 45, 55, 55, 56, and other allowances, he is paying me 5,000. So altogether, he is paying so much type of salary to me. Do you think I became happy or sad? Earlier, I'm not getting house rent. Earlier, I'm not getting any allowances for entertainment. I'm not getting any fund for my education of my children. Earlier, I'm not getting any allowances for my sickness. Earlier, I'm not getting any money from my employer for subscription of books, etc. Whether I should become happy or not? What is your take?
Not happy,
Anyone?
sir. Not
Not
happy, sir.
happy? Why not happy? Earlier,
Because
I'm
there
not
is
getting that much of.
because there is no deduction EPF and gratuity and bonus. Because these are the
Here, my
benefit.
earlier employer also not get providing me any EPF, gratuity, etc. The same regarding EPF and gratuity, both of the employer are same.
Okay.
Whether I should happy or not
Happy, sir, then.
happy. Okay, Suresh is happy. What about Tejaswini?
Total salary has become less, sir.
So you became happy?
No, sir.
No. Look, Mr. Suresh, earlier my employer is giving me 66,667 without making any breakup. And here the new employer is giving me only 61,000. I believe 61,000. He is giving me only 61,000 with beautiful presentation. He is giving against house rent. He is giving against entertainment. He is giving for medical purpose, etc., etc. But altogether, how much I'm getting? I'm getting only 61,000. Yes or no? Should I become happy for this one, or should I am happy with this one? What is your take now? Even though the presentation style of new employer is better, but ultimately my bank account is not credited with 66,667. Can I say that my earlier employer is paying good amount to me, but the only problem is that there is no breakup in this way. Agree or disagree? The importance of breakup is that first of all, people like Suresh never discussed about this part. They never see about this part. They are talking about this one. How much I'm getting against certain benefits, how much I'm getting against entertainment, how much I'm getting around against house rent, etc. We totally focused on this part, but we never focused on this part. This is the beauty of the management presentation. Yes or no? Still, I am getting lesser amount, but I am happy. It is not a happy moment for me. My salary became salary reduced. Okay. So that what is the purpose in income tax? If your employer is providing salary in this way, your income tax, these are known as allowances. For few of the allowances, there are certain tax exemption are given so that we got our taxable income is supposed to be reduced, and accordingly my tax liability become lesser. That is the beauty of this presentation. There are so many type of allowances, or there are so many type of perquisite your employer may provide, but income tax have certain exemption. If you are getting few allowances, and your tax liability become lower or maybe reduced due to these exemption, etc. However, on the other hand, if your employer is providing lump sum salary, say 66,667 per month, in that situation I'm not getting any benefit of the income tax law regarding exemption of allowances, etc. And I may be liable to pay some more taxes. That's why our employer generally, employer are the amount whatever they want to pay to their employee is certainly fixed, but that amount is required to be segregated into various allowances, so that I can manage my tax liability effectively. Agree? Got my point?
Yes, sir.
Got it? Now, allowances. What do you mean by allowances? Allowances means a cash component of your salary. They are paying for a special purpose. For certain purpose, they are paying some extra amount to you. However, there are some other something you are supposed to note. Suppose you are getting entertainment allowance, entertain sorry you are getting entertainment allowance of rupees, say 5,000 per month. Your employer will pay rupees 5,000 to you. He will not ask you any type of accounts, any type how you expend this money. It is up to you. He will provide you. Even you are not incur any money on entertainment. You save that money, you made a fixed deposit from this money, whatever be the purpose you utilize that money, he will never ask you. That is mere a tag on the allowances, tag on the money. It will never be asked whether for what purpose you expend that money. That means that once they are given to you, the ultimate control on money is in your hand. Then the allowances, that means it is cash salary. It is required to be it is you are getting in cash. You are not supposed to provide any accounts whether this money has been expended by you in any of the category mentioned on entertainment or house rent, etc. You are not supposed to provide any accounts for that one. And one more thing, if your employer is providing medical allowance, for example, medical allowance, these allowances are given to you. Medical allowance, entertainment allowance, house rent allowance, they are payable, they are given to you even though you did not incur a single paise on medical, or you incurred huge money on medical. they will never bother about that thing. Once they paid it, that's final. You are not supposed to say that even though I'm getting medical allowance of rupees 5,000, but during the month I incurred medical expenditure of rupees 50,000. They will say that is not my problem. You are required to solve your problem. Done. One of them is house rent allowance. One of them is house rent allowance. If you are under old tax regime, if you are under old tax regime, then you will get some exemption from house rent allowance. If you are getting house rent allowances, money, salary in the name of house rent allowances, the salary, the name, the allowances in the name of house rent allowances, and you are under old tax regime, you will get certain exemption from income tax. How to calculate that exemption? Lower of the following will be exempt. Lower of the following will be exempt. Number A, actual HRA, actual house rent allowance received during the year. Number two, 50% or 40% of your salary. Number C, rent paid by you for your accommodation less 10% of your salary. If I'm getting basic salary, say rupees 50,000, I'm getting HRA amounting to rupees 20,000. I'm residing in metro. I take a flat in a metro city for a monthly rent of rupees say 12,000. In that situation, how to calculate the exemption portion? We are going to discuss that one. How much money I am getting from for HRA? That is 20,000. 50% or 40% of my salary. 50% in case I have accommodation, that rented accommodation is located in metro city, then we will use this formula as 50% of salary. If my accommodation, that rented accommodation is not located in metro city, then we will use 40% of salary. And what should be considered as my salary? Here salary means my basic salary plus DA, which forming part of retirement benefit, plus commission on turnover. If I'm getting other component of salary will not be counted, will not be considered. That means in our example, salary here means the only basic component, basic plus DA, which forms part of retirement benefit, plus commission on turnover. Since other component are not given, only this one is given. 50% of this salary, that is 25,000. And last one, how much rent I'm paying? I'm paying 12,000 as a rent minus 10% of my salary. Again, salary that is 50,000, 10% of it is 5,000. 12,000 minus 5,000 is 7,000. So lower of this, which one is the lower amount? I believe 7,000 is the least amount. So out of this, out of the HRA, I'm getting 20,000 rupees. I will get tax exemption to the extent of 7,000, and remaining 13,000 would be taxable in my hand. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? How to calculate who are eligible for HRA? If you are getting HRA from your employer and you are under old tax regime. What is old tax regime, new tax regime? We already discussed. In under new tax regime, the benefit of HRA, the exemption benefit of HRA is not available. If you are under old tax regime and you are getting HRA, then lower of this three would be considered as exempted income. That means you are not supposed to pay tax on that part of the HRA. How to calculate that one? Number one, actual HRA. Number two, 50% or 40% of your salary. 50% in case the accommodation which you have taken on rent, in which you stay, that is located in metro city, then 50%. Otherwise, it would be 40%. What do you mean by metro city? That are four in India. That is Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata, and Mumbai. If your place of accommodation is in this city, then 50% of salary, else it would be 40% of your salary. And third component is rent paid by you as reduced by 10% of your salary. Salary here means basic DA plus basic plus DA forming part of retirement benefit plus commission on turnover. Other component of salary would not be counted for calculating this benefit. Is it done? Is it done?
Yes.
If
So
if
whichever is
if
lower
Mr.
part,
Suresh, sorry,
so government is calculated on the basis of which is the lower part of the income. No, which is the lower.
yes, whichever is lower would be considered as exempted. That means in this
Okay.
illustration, 7,000 amount of HRA out of 20,000 you are getting 7,000 would be exempted. The remaining amount, that is 13,000, would be taxable in your hand. Clear? How shall your answer differ if Mr. Suresh is getting HRA, but he has opted for new tax regime? He is under new tax regime. Then this exemption would not be available. In that situation, entire 20,000 would be taxable in his hand. If you are under new tax regime or default tax regime, entire 20,000 of HRA is taxable in your hand. You are not eligible for any exemption like this. Done? Clear? Further, if you are under old tax regime, then few deductions are also available to you after calculating your gross total income. That is called deduction under section 80C, 80D, etc. What are these? If you invested money or you have incurred certain specified expenditure, then you are eligible for deduction under section 80, 80 triple C, 80 CCD. In some barring few situations, the amount of deduction in this section does not exceed. That is, maximum amount of deduction under this section is 1,50,000. And in case of medical expenditure, in few cases, it may range between 25,000 to 1 lakh. It may be 0 to 1 lakh. Provided you are under old tax regime and you invested your money in certain specified investment avenues or incurred certain specified expenditure, then only you are eligible to claim this type of deductions. For example, you are under old tax regime and you have taken an LIC policy for yourself, your spouse, or your kids. Then whatever be the amount of premium you are paying, that would be eligible for deduction under section 80C, maximum up to 1,50,000. For example, you invested money into PPF, that is called Public Provident Fund, to the extent of 1,50,000, you are eligible for deduction under section 80C. It is not like that for LIC a separate limit of 150 and for PPF a separate limit of 150 is there. No, it is not like that. You can invest money, but the deduction, the aggregate amount of deduction under section 80C, considering all the investment like premium payment, like PPF payment, like investment in ELSS scheme of mutual fund, like a purchase of NSE, etc. There is a list of investment are given. Considering all those, maximum amount of deduction is rupees 1,50,000. In case of 80D, that is medical insurance, if you taken a medical insurance policy on yourself, on your spouse, or on your kids, then maximum you may get the deduction to the extent of 25,000 or amount of the premium whichever is lower. If any of them is senior citizen, then this limit is enhanced to 50,000. And for your parents, again 25,000 benefit for medical insurance premium, for payment of medical insurance premium is available to you. Um, That means, can I say that if you incurred certain expenditure on yours or invest money on your on your social security, on your retirement security, you are eligible for certain deductions, certain benefits under section 80C or 80D. However, these benefits are not available if you are governed by default tax regime, that is new tax regime. Done? Clear?
Yes,
Anyone
sir.
have any question till now?
Suppose I had taken the 3 lakhs policy per annum, and the amount of premium is 3 lakhs per annum. So the only 1,50,000 is deduct from
Only
my
one.
taxable
There is
income.
certain limitation. There are a few more limitations are there. Your premium amount should not exceed 10% of your sum assured. And then say your sum assured is say 50 lakh, then you are paying 3 lakh as a premium. 3 lakh you paid premium. Amount invested by you in LIC or rupees 1,50,000, whichever is lower. That is 1,50,000 is available as a deduction. That is the maximum, that is the upper cap to claim deduction under section 80C, 80 triple C, 80 CCD, barring few. However, the benefit is available only if you are under old tax regime. If you are under new tax regime, this benefit is not available to you. So why this benefit are not available to? Did you notice the rate structure under both tax regime? Under the new tax regime, the rate structure are on lower side. Under old tax regime, rate structure are on higher side. That means either you take the benefit of concessional rate or you take the benefit of deduction, etc. Choice is yours. Here. Done. So anyone can revise rate all under old tax regime. It's revision time. Last time 7 minutes are there. Any please revise. Anyone? Old rate under old tax regime. Aratna?
Sir, if it is super senior citizen,
Okay.
first 5 lakhs it is 0, sir, nil. Next 5 lakhs it is 20%, and balance amount is levied at 30%, sir.
Done. Then
And senior citizen, it is for first 3 lakhs nil, sir. Next 2 lakhs it is 5%. Next 5 lakhs it is 20%, and balance amount at 30%, sir.
done. Very correct.
And anyone else, it is first 2,50,000.
Anyone other individual. Anyone else does not include company. It is individual. Okay.
Okay, individual. First 2,50,000 is nil, sir. Next 2,50,000 is 5%. Next 5 lakhs is 20%, and balance at 30%, sir.
Okay. We calculated our tax liability. Then what we are supposed to do? Then what we are supposed to check whether I am eligible for rebate under section 87A or not. How could I check?
If it is old regime, my total income should not exceed 5 lakhs, sir. And if it is new regime, it shouldn't exceed 7 lakhs.
No. Right now we are discussing only about old regime. Don't get confused with new regime. Only about old tax regime.
Then my total income should not be more than 5 lakhs for me to avail rebate, sir.
No, one more condition is there. You should be a resident individual.
Resident.
You should be a resident individual and your total income should not exceed 5 lakhs. Then you are eligible for rebate under section 87A. What would be the quantum of rebate under section 87A?
100% of tax amount or 12,500, whichever is lesser, sir.
Whichever is lower. After reducing rebate, then what we are supposed to rebate under section 87A. Then what we are supposed to do after doing this, we are supposed to check whether I am liable for surcharge or not. How much
Yes.
surcharge I am supposed to pay? Up to 50 lakh rupees of income, I'm not supposed to pay any surcharge, and then it ranging between 10% to 37%. After calculating surcharge, I would like to check whether I'm eligible for any marginal relief on surcharge or not. After considering that, I will add 4% as health and education says on tax plus surcharge. Whatever the amount I have calculated as tax and surcharge, on that amount I am supposed to pay 4% as health and education says. Then round off will be there. That is considered as my tax liability. Now come under new tax regime. What would be the rate structure?
New tax regime doesn't differentiate among other individuals and senior citizens, sir.
Okay, fine.
Everyone is the same, and up to 3 lakhs it is nil, and
Then
3 lakhs to 6 lakhs it is 5%, sir. 6
then
lakhs to 9 lakhs 10%, 9
mhm,
lakhs to 12 lakhs 15%, 12 lakhs to 15 lakhs 20%, and above 15 lakhs it is 30%, sir.
30%. Then rebate under section 87A,
When my total income is less than 7 lakhs, sir.
not less than, not more than 7 lakh, then you are
Sorry,
eligible.
not
And you
more
are a
than
resident. On
yes,
exact
sir.
7 lakh, you are eligible.
Sir,
And marginal relief is also available. And
um,
then surcharge we are required to calculate the range of surcharge up to first 50 lakh, it is nil. Then it is between 10% to 25% of your tax liability, depending on your income range. And then after calculating tax, rebate, surcharge, we should add 4% as health and education says. Okay, now comes to residential status. An individual may be considered as a resident or a non-resident. Which individual shall be classified as a resident if any of the conditions given under section 6(1) are satisfied? What are these? Number one, you are in India for 182 days or more during the previous year, or you are in India for 60 days or more during the previous year, plus you are in India for 365 days during the four preceding previous year. If any of them are satisfied, then you will be considered as a resident in India. A resident in India would be further classified as ordinary resident or not ordinary resident. Which one is considered as ordinary resident? If a resident individual satisfied two more conditions mentioned under section 6(6), then they are considered as a ordinary resident. What are these two conditions? He is supposed to be resident in India for 2 times out of 10 years immediately preceding previous year. And he is in India for 730 days or more during the last 7 days immediately preceding previous year. If these two conditions are simultaneously fulfilled, that resident individual is considered as ordinary resident, else that resident individual is considered as a not ordinary resident. If you are not a resident individual, then you are considered as a non-resident, and non-resident is not further classified as an ordinary non-resident or not ordinary. This is not the concept. Then we discuss few exemption or allowances, HRA allowances. How to calculate exemption? If you are covered under old tax regime and you are getting house rent allowance from your employer, then a benefit is available, then exemption is available. What is the, how to calculate that exemption? Lower of the following would be considered as an exemption. Number one, actual HRA, whatever amount you are getting as a HRA. Number two, 50% or 40% of your salary, depending on your city of the accommodation. Number last, 10 rent paid minus 10% of your salary. Whichever is lower would be considered as an exemption. Remaining part of the HRA would be taxable in your hand. I believe it is clear to all.
Yes, sir.
Next, we will meet on Monday of Saturday and Sunday is your holiday. Next, we will meet on Monday. If you
Sir,
like the
one
talks,
query regarding a GST, sir. Can I ask this one question?
not today, please ask on some other day, on Monday, surely. Okay.
Thank you.
If you like, if you enjoyed the session, please post your comment in the chat box. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Please comment.